this is one of those episodes that you are going to want to listen to all the way through to the end. I got to interview Julie Getzinger. She is an intuitive life coach. We explored the fascinating world of astrocartography. Talking about mind-blowing. You guys, you're going to love this episode. We talk about the energy of location, how it can influence your business, relationships, and personal growth. Julie shared how she uses birth charts and intuitive coaching to guide clients toward empowerment and action. We delved into finding home within ourselves and balancing professional pursuits with personal life. This is a game changer for anyone looking to align their journey with their cosmic energy for their soul's purpose and success in their business and the work that they do in this world. To tune in, elevate your path, and unlock new possibilities. You are going to just love this. Julie Getzinger, welcome to the Sacred Purpose podcast. I am so excited to have you here. We met briefly in a Facebook group, and I saw what you did in the world and the things that you're doing. And I was just so curious to get to know you more. You sound like a perfect fit for my listeners. And I know I'm personally excited to dive into this conversation because I have been moving around a lot. My listeners know that I'm between, Southern California and Seattle on a regular basis, and also looking for my next place that I want to plant some more roots. And I feel like we both have so much in common, but you also have a background that's very rich and diverse, and all these beautiful things that I'm so excited to learn about that have brought you into astrocartography, if I'm even saying that correctly. And so I'm really excited to dive into this conversation, learn more about you and what brought you to this point. But I'm going to hold off on my questions before I get off on a tangent, because I have a way of doing that. And just let you introduce yourself a little bit here, and then we'll get into it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. So I am an intuitive life coach, and I specialize in astrocartography. And what that is the study of the energy of location. So I look at people's birth charts and I see things like life purpose, how they are in relationship, how they make money. And then I look at their astrocartography map to see where good places in the world could be for them to go to enhance any of those areas of life.
I love it. When I've heard of astrocartography in the past, I do generally equate it to where would be the most ideal place for me to live and thrive, but I've never really thought of connecting it to a business sense of purpose and success. I'm really excited to get into that. I want to back up a little bit first, though, because one of my other really favorite topics to dig into is intuition. And so you said you're an intuitive coach. And so I'm curious what led you down this path, because I have a feeling it really stacks up to leading you to this point of where you're at now. When you first discovered your intuition, how did you know how to trust it and follow it, and where it led you to this point? And I'm sure it's a long story, but I'll let you take it.
Yeah, well, I was teaching elementary school at the time, fifth grade, teaching fifth grade, and I started to notice it was always 111 or 1111 on the clock every time I building, because I would walk my students places because we were outside and I bring them in, and I was just like, what is with all these ones? Like, what is going on? 1111 everywhere. And I Googled it and I saw it was a spiritual number, angel numbers. Like that was really how I opened up, was seeing angel numbers. And then I got into photography after my children were born because I wanted to take pictures of them and document their lives. And I started to play with nature. I started to ask the weather to work with me during photo shoots. I would say to the sun, can you move a little bit this way? Or I would like a bird to come over here. Like I started asking for things and they would happen in nature. And then I was like, oh, wow, if this works, why don't we take this to the business and bring in more money? Like, what if I start playing
Mm.
with numbers? And I started dreaming up the amount of sales that I would like to bring in, and I would play with that, and I would visualize how I'd want my sale to go, and then that would unfold. And it was just like an act of playing with it until I was like, this is really fun. Like this is fun to play with this. And I was doing photography full time. I left my teaching job, loved photography, started a full-time photography business. It was going really well. And then when COVID happened, I had to close the doors temporarily because we couldn't do the in-person work. And that's when I felt this urge to be an inspirer, someone to motivate the other photographers who were also out of jobs. We came together and I said, what can we do? Like, we're creatives. Like, we're going to figure this out. We're not going to apply for unemployment. Like, we're creative. Like, we're problem solvers. And we started meeting together virtually. And I formed this whole group of photographers that I taught to coach other photographers. I don't even know how I knew how to do it, but it was just this like divine calling, that you're a motivator and inspire, someone who helps people through times of crisis when things seem like they're ending and everyone is scared and upset. You come in and you rally the troops and you help them figure it out.
Mm.
And that's where my coaching business started, was during that time.
Wow. I love that. That's really, that was such a hard time. I know we can all relate to that. And you could imagine with photography, no events, you're going to have less work, right? People aren't finding things to photograph. They're hardly leaving the house. So finding a way to be inspirational during a time like that, especially I know for what they were calling or classifying as gig workers, they're who historically don't have any safety net, any backup plans, any unemployment, all those things, right? So even more scary for that industry, I think, and unsettling. And for you to just call that community together, I mean, I think that's really powerful. That is how we get through. Community is a big part of the work that I do. And I just think it's really truly how we get through. It's how we survive as community. That is our best defense of all, always. Um, so then tell me about when astrology came into your life, and then what it started to mean to you, because I'm fascinated about then what drew you to the astrocartography, because it's such a niche way to go through astrology and look at it. So I'm really, really curious to find out how you got there.
Well, the way I got introduced to astrology was through Serious Joy, Christopher Watecki. I started following him on YouTube, and a friend told me he does this weather report, and every day you can kind of get a prediction of what the day might be like, to kind of prepare yourself like you would for the weather, like wear a raincoat today. I started watching him and I was like, this is fascinating. This is so interesting. And I would journal and write down what happened in my life and then trace it back to exactly what was predicted. And I was just like, this is so freaking cool. Why would anybody need anything else but this? Like, it
Mm,
just like was all the answers I'd been seeking. Um, and so that's what opened me up to astrology. And then I actually had an intuitive reading and I kept talking about California. I want to go back to California. I love California. How can I go back? I was just, and she said, I really would recommend an astrocartography reading, to help you see what would your experience be like there, to see if it's just a fantasy
mm,
you have, a dream, or if there's actually like people there waiting for you, or maybe your love partner's there, or business is going to boom out there. Like, why don't you get an astrocartography reading? I'd never heard of it either.
wow.
And I went on, and wouldn't you know that Christopher Watecki, who I just started following, interviewed Helena Woods, who is an astrocartographer. She does private readings. At the time she did. Now she's like so overbooked. She's barely booking. She doesn't have time to, because she's so busy.
Mm,
And I got in right in the nick of time, got a private reading with her, and was just fascinated. I was floored by how it held my attention in a way that no other modality has in the
mm,
healing world. It was like, this is for you. You're going to be helping people with this. And I was looking at it not just for me, but how can I serve others with it during
mm.
my own reading? It really just was like an instant, like, this is what I need to help others. This is how I'm going to help them navigate their lives. Um,
Wow.
it was really powerful and just a knowing. And then from there, actually, Helena became my teacher, and I studied under her. And then now she's helping us grow our businesses and teaching us more about astrocartography business.
Mm.
So it's been an amazing, amazing journey.
Wow, that is fascinating. And I love what you said about that, how, because there are so many healing modalities and so many people call to healing work, but knowing which one is yours to hold and be a pillar of, and so many things can branch off from there, of course, but that's really powerful. I'm glad you honed in on that, because I think so many of us can get distracted by like all the different things that we can be drawn to, but to be able to say, but this one, this is the one I'm going to go all in on. I
Yes.
think that's really beautiful. Okay, so then tell me how you can use it to grow your business for those entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah. So what you do is you start with the birth chart and you look to see what are your strongest planets. So for me, Mercury is a really strong planet because I am a Gemini sun. So my Mercury is also very supported by other planets in my chart. So for me, looking for that mercurial energy on my chart is going to be really great for writing and teaching and speaking, which is what I do primarily. You
Mm,
also look to other benefic planets like Jupiter brings good luck and prosperity. Venus brings art, beauty, appreciation, money. So you look for those supportive planets to see where they are in the world on your bigger map. And there's also a free software, astro.com, where you can get started there. And then you can go deeper with a professional reading with more details and you look at timing and things like that. But
mm,
you really look at what area of your business are you looking to enhance? Are you looking to write a book next? Are you looking to do some sales? You're about to launch a program. And then you're going to go to the line that enhances that energy. Like the sun is really great for marketing and selling, feeling that vibrant energy, connecting with others. So you look for that sun line. If you're feeling kind of nervous and you're procrastinating, you go to Mars and it gives you the courage to launch and just to do it and be bold and fearless. And that's what I've been doing. I've been traveling to my different lines for the past 6 months, and I've done this huge rebrand shift in my business, all in with astrocartography. And now I'm a speaker about the topic, and I'm really in the energy of speaking and teaching. So more of my mercurial energy. But it's really just looking at the birth chart first, seeing what you'd like to enhance more of in your business, and then go there. Then you don't have to
wow.
move. You can just visit. You can go to the coffee shop.
Wow. I love that. I feel like you've opened up a whole new window for me, and I may think I want to plant roots, but this is like so for the last few months, I've been on the road, mostly visiting family for different needs and things happening within the family, but I also decided to use it as an opportunity, as like a scavenger hunt to get clues. I went to Texas for a little bit, went to Utah for a little bit, I'm in California for a little bit, just pick up the different types of energy that I'm drawn to, what feels good, what I would put on my dream location of things I want to feel and experience when I, go to my next home or wherever I decide to land and plant more roots. Um, but what you're saying about the energy of the different planets, depending on what phase you're in, I mean, that sounds really specific. And I hadn't even thought to look at it that way. And I'm at a point in my life where I can be a little or a lot flexible, right? And so it's kind of a luxury to be able to go all in on that. But I appreciate what you said that you can just go and visit, right? You don't have to move, you don't have to be nomadic. These can be little vacation spots or weekends or little staycations for yourself if you're trying to call in a different type of energy. And that is really fascinating. And I need to book a call with you when we're done here. I love this. Okay, so you actually are a digital nomad. You've been doing this for about 6 months now. So I'm just curious, how is this what brought you to it, sort of that curiosity to just play with this energy and see how it works for you, or what drew you to that? And how did you get started?
Yeah. Well, first, like as a Gemini, I love to do everything fast. Like I like to go through the lessons quickly. I like to feel all the energy. I like to alchemize quickly. So for me, moving once a month felt really good. That seems like a dizzying pace, I think, for most people would be like you move every month. And sometimes I move twice in one month. And really every time I moved, it felt like a new lifetime. It felt like a completely different experience, completely different energy, different lessons. And then once I got the lesson, okay, it's time to go to the next location. So I love it. And just recently, actually, the same intuitive who recommended I get an astrocartography reading said that my spirit guides were saying, you need to go back to Maryland. Like you're needed in Maryland. And there were certain people in my life that needed me to be in Maryland. And that was really crucial for my future. This feels like Back to the Future kind of like
Mhm.
warning, like, these people
Mm,
really do need you right now. And it is where you want to be. And as she was saying it, it didn't feel like a reprimand. It felt like a yes. That's why I
Mm,
hired you to do this reading, to remind me that this is important and this is what I want to be focused on right now. I think as entrepreneurs and business people, it can be easy to get lost in the business and feel like we always need to keep our eye on it and be focused on growing it constantly. But there are other areas of life that also need our attention: our families, our romantic life, our friendships. Like there's so much, our health, so it's
mhm,
not losing sight of those things too. So that's why I felt called to, I'm going back to Maryland, going closer to family again. But yeah, it's really just following where my intuition leads me, and I hire other healers too to help me see things I'm not seeing, because it's easy for me to do readings for others, but I
mhm,
can't always see my own limitations. And I am very I'm a Pisces rising, and I have a lot of Neptune in my chart too that gets me in the clouds sometimes. I can get a little lost in fantasy, and head in the clouds. And so I hire other healers and teachers to help ground me too, and to
mm,
remind me of what I really do want, what my soul is calling me towards, and what other souls are
yeah.
calling me towards too, because it's not just about us.
Yeah. That's, you're bringing up so many good points, because there's uh, sometimes the nomadic lifestyle, I think some people feel like they're called to it as a way from maybe avoiding something or running from something. Whereas for me, I feel like I'm definitely running towards something, I'm being called to these places, I'm being called to this. So I think that's a really important thing to notice within ourselves and even check in, like, am I running from something or am I being called towards something? And what am I being called towards? And just making sure that we are clear on the energy in both ways. And not that we all don't have something in life we'd rather avoid, of course, but just having the courage to look at those things and being able to address them when you're not physically in space with the person or the thing, sometimes. And so learning how to extend your energy to different places and how to care for someone who's far away from you and how to express love to someone who's far away from you, how to do all those things when you're more mobile and have greater physical distance between you.
Yes, I love that you said that, because that's something I've really learned on this journey too, that you don't need to be in physical presence, and it to show love. And it really makes me think of, when people pass and the departed, they
Mhm,
change form, but you can feel their love, I think, almost stronger. Just the
mhm.
thought of them, just calling in, just thinking of them brings that really amazing, loving energy. And we can do the same thing no matter where we are, thinking of our loved ones, wishing that they're well in that moment, wishing that they feel how much you love them and how much you hope that they're in joy right now, or you hope that they're, having positive intentions for others is so powerful, and it's limitless, and you can do it from anywhere in the world. So just keeping that in mind, we don't need to always be physically in presence to show and express love.
Yeah, I love that. I've had to learn that skill. If you do the five love languages test, I'm physical touch is my modality. And so it's definitely a skill that I have developed over the years. And you're right about that. The energetic field is so loving already. And so it does almost feel very rich and easy to tap into that energy and move with it back and forth between the person you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a question though that brought up another thought for me is what you do for yourself to help yourself feel grounded and at home where you are in a new location.
I love that question. It's interesting. I just met with a feng shui expert right before this interview, and we're doing a collaboration together. And it was so much fun to hear from her, some different tips that she just gave me, such as bringing different relics and things into the space to support me. Actually, at one place where I stayed, she had a lion relic that was sitting next to my bed, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't really know what it was there for, but when I was there, my business exploded, and I got like like tons of new clients when I stayed there. And the other thing that I noticed after speaking to the feng shui expert was that this house in California, she left all the windows open all the time. And to me, that seemed foreign, because I'm from Maryland. We use air conditioning. We don't just leave the windows open. And she constantly had left all the windows open. They lived in this beautiful, safe neighborhood. But that was foreign to me, but the energy was circulating through so clearly that it was constantly clearing the energy field. Um, Something else is always bringing my crystals with me. I have very specific crystals that always travel with me. I always say my oracle cards are my best friends. Like whenever I'm like needing some support, humans mean well, but they usually don't know what to say when you're really down in the dumps.
I love that.
But the oracle cards always know what to say. They always know how to remind me how loved and supported I am whenever I'm feeling that way. And also different colors, wearing different colors can help shift moods. And wearing blue, can be really soothing and calming to me. Greens feel calming and soothing. And also just using my intuition on what wants to move around, especially in the room that I'm going to spend the most time in. Just looking around the room, if something looks cluttered, I'll go ahead and put it in the closet. Like I'll just clear it out, make a mental. Sometimes I take a picture with my phone so I remember where to put things back, before I leave. But I will just take a scan of the room and just feel into, does something want to move? Does something feel busy or cluttered? What needs to be cleaned up here? Make it a nice, clean space for me to be in. Open those windows, do some clearing with sage or some kind of spray that I have with me as well.
Mm. Yeah, I've found myself doing similar things. It's important to feel at home, and I feel like, I'm happy almost anywhere I am. I can find the good in any situation, but that feeling of being grounded, of being safe, of being in a familiar place, I think that's really, really important. And I love just everything that you touched on there. I do always, at the very least, bring a crystal and a deck of cards. I will find a candle when I get there. I
Yes.
will find something I can burn.
I actually pack candles too. I bring
Do
my
you?
candles. I got favorite candles from home. So,
Oh, I love that. I got mine confiscated at an airport
oh
one time, and I was like,
no.
okay, well, I'm not traveling with candles anymore. Noted. Maybe it was just too big. It looked like it might be dangerous. So anyway, very good. So, okay, so then what can somebody expect when they book a reading with you? What will it help them with?
Well, what we do first is look at the birth chart. And I do ask my clients ahead of time to fill out a form that tells me, what are you looking to enhance in your life? Are you looking for your love partner? Are you looking for, business growth? Are you looking for a new job or family, to repair family relationships? So once I know what it is that they're focused on, then I take a look at their birth chart to better understand them as a person and their soul and the different life lessons. And then,
Mhm.
so that's the first thing I go into with them. I try not to, I don't do any research on the person ahead of time. It's great when I don't know them at all, because then my
Mm.
intuition is stronger and I know it's not any preconceived notions about them. And so I like to just read the birth chart first, and I do everything from the mind, understanding all the symbolism, how the chart works. And then I go in intuitively and I ask my intuition, what else would they want to know? What else
Mm.
might they be wondering? I type all of that out in a report so that during the actual session, we can just be engaged with each other and they can completely relax and know that they're going to get all of the research part of it, and they're also going to get the intuitive guidance. But during the session, I want them to relax and receive so that we had plenty of time to go deeper into anything else, because often people do get emotional when we talk about things like purpose,
Mhm.
relationships, loved ones that have passed. I am a medium as well. So I do sense when a departed loved one is present, animals or people. And I do bring it up if I see something or I hear something, and that's something else that comes through. So we do that as well, the intuitive guidance, and that is different every single time. Some people are really into their chart and their map and they're in their mind and they want to just focus on that. So I'm happy to do that. And then others, we go really deep into a specific topic, and then it becomes more like intuitive coaching. And then again,
Mhm.
they still get their full report, so they'll know where to go, all of that. And then the astrocartography part of it is the actual map of the world. So I zoom in and show them where good places would be to go, either to move or just to visit, in order to enhance whatever it is they said they want to enhance. So they give me some locations ahead of time that they're considering, and then I find other places in the world that I'm seeing on their chart would be a good match. And then sometimes my intuition will just say a place in my mind, and I'm like, "Have you ever been to Iowa?" Just like just tells me what to say, and then they'll be like, "Well, that's so funny. I've always wanted to go there," or "That's actually where I went to college," or it's really fun to see these places that just come up intuitively, and then to hear the stories behind them is really fascinating. So people leave
Mhm.
with more clarity. They leave with excitement. Um, they also leave feeling more healed because if tears come through, they feel like a release and they feel more clear. Every time we cry or we express, speaking is healing, crying is
Mhm.
healing, and they feel more open and ready to go on that adventure or ready to do more research themselves into these different locations.
Mm. It sounds really powerful and very comprehensive. I love where you start just getting to know them and their energy overall first. And you said something during that about talking to them about their soul purpose or their purpose and their life lessons at this time. And integrating that piece. And I feel like that's one of the many places where you and I have some crossover in that sacred purpose, that life purpose, that soul's purpose that so many people, wonder about or question or want to explore or dive into. And it can be really emotional. For the first time feeling seen or validated, or even just giving yourself permission to sort of start untangling from all the threads of the woulds and coulds and shoulds that were put upon you or that you put upon yourself. Um, and so I'm curious, when you're going through a session, what are some of the things that come up for somebody typically, either when they start getting this information, like what next? Because I can imagine it's also really overwhelming, or maybe there's some resistance of like, I couldn't possibly go, right? So I'm just kind of curious what kind of, I don't want to even use the words hurdles, but challenges or things that come up that people need to work through to be able to get to the next, what comes next, right? Because I've got all this information now.
Right, right. Yeah, and people they start excited and then like you said sometimes then the limitations come out. But I have children. My spouse doesn't like to travel. And I find that the tears are usually about the knowing and not letting ourselves go. And I think that that's the biggest pain is when people abandon their own needs.
Mhm.
And that I've seen that, especially with mothers. I've seen mothers feeling, and even after children have grown, because you would think it's when the children are younger that they feel like they have to stay. But I'm seeing it with women who are empty nesters. The children are adults and they still feel like they can't leave because they have to like hold down the root somewhere, even though the children may never come back to that area. They might move to where they go to college, or they might fall in love somewhere, or just feel a desire to go somewhere else. So I do see mothers, especially mourning that, not letting themselves go. That's the biggest one. I say I see. Sometimes it's the partner doesn't like to travel, or my partner's not on the spiritual journey. I don't know if it's going to work out. Things like that sometimes come through. But that, I'd say by the time you have an astrocartography reading, they're usually further along in the process. An individual intuitive reading, sometimes I would get somebody saying, I don't know if this is the right match for me. But by the time someone has an astrocartography
Mm.
reading, I'm just finding they're further along in their journey. They've already delved into the spiritual world. That's not new to them.
Yeah.
They're deeper. They're deeper in, and usually they're with partners who are more supportive, or they're single. They've realized that their person was not going to go along on the journey, so now they're single.
Yeah.
That happens too, and then they're looking for love again. Yeah, so it's different for everyone, but the pattern I have seen, and I also believe we attract kind of like who we are and where we are. And I'm a divorced single mom myself, so I've attracted other single moms. I've attracted others who've been married at least one time, who are also wanting to fall in love again and wanting to know where to go, where that could happen. So I've seen that as well. Yeah.
Mm. I love that. Yeah, I can see that, by the time somebody does get to astrocartography, they probably have worked through some limiting beliefs already. But I just know that no matter where we are in life, something is going to come up to challenge us. And so just finding that permission to just, let it go, follow it, trust your intuition. And I know that sometimes you can feel a little bit wild or crazy or unconventional or out, this isn't normal. What's a woman your age doing? Like,
Right.
and you have to break through a lot of barriers and it makes people uncomfortable. And I know for me, I mean, I'm just speaking now from personal experience that, somebody will ask me, and usually a family member, somebody that loves me and is well-intentioned, like, what do you mean you don't know where you're going next? And I'm like, they're like, you're not worried? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I feel fantastic. What do you mean I'm not worried? Like, I worked really hard to get to this place. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I've had
is
the
out
same
of the
experience.
norm.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think that's part of the spiritual journey too, is being the way showers and being the ones out there doing it and showing others that the freedom is very liberating. And, it's almost like the worry, and I just want to tune into a little bit of like what the worry actually is. I think that what they're really saying is, please don't leave me. It
Mm,
feels more of like fear of abandonment on their end when they see you out and free. And part of them is also mourning the fact that they are currently abandoning themselves because a
mm,
part of them also wants to be free.
mm,
So seeing you free is triggering, is
mm,
worrisome, or they're putting that word worry on it because they're worried that they will never feel free themselves.
mm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's a whole new way to look at that. Yeah. I have chills. I love that. I'm sitting with that for a minute here. Oh, that is so good. Um, Really beautiful message actually to receive. I would love to know if there's anything else that you want to share with our listeners. Of course, how to find you, but I also want to just open this up to any sort of thoughts that are coming through, anything else you want to share that we haven't touched on already for this
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, I would love to just close my eyes and just tune in and see what else wants to be shared or said. So, first, I just want to thank you for this beautiful space and this way of being with someone. This is a different way to interview, of just really being deeply connected. It feels like this from a pure place. And I just want to thank you for modeling for me what true love and interaction and connection looks like through business. It just feels like that definition of creating space for others, but it just feels very reciprocal. And I just wanted to honor you for doing that, for doing this work.
Mm.
And I just heard the phrase, home is wherever you are. And I just want to ask more from the divine what that really means, or why that phrase came through. Home is where you are. So you are the home, like you are the vessel. So everything extends from you. So I'm seeing like a tree with the branches. So you are that tree that gets to extend and grow in all different directions. And so you can still be rooted in a place. I hear very often from people, where's your home base? And that
Mm.
question has always thrown me off. I don't know how to respond to that anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? Where was I born? Where are my children? What does that mean? And what I'm seeing is the tree. It's just like the roots in the ground. Like it's like Mother Earth is your home base. Like Mother Earth is where you are planted. You are planted in not a spot, but in the energy that is Mother Earth. And there's no one spot. It's just this expansive energy. It's like the roots coming up from the earth. And then your life experiences are the branches that are going in all different directions. And part of you is over here in California, part of you is in New York, part of you is in Japan, part of you. So your energy can go anywhere. It can go wherever it desires. It can go in the form of reading a book or watching a show or physically traveling somewhere, speaking about somewhere. Like we can absorb the energy from other places from one spot, from being in that stable place of being the tree. So letting go of the fear of like, how do I respond to this, or just that even letting it take us off course at all of just others' questions, and just knowing it comes from a place of curiosity and a place of wanting to understand what this could look like for them. That's really what they're asking. Like, how could I do something like this? How could this look for me? How might I be able to do this? So it's really like seeing it from a place of curiosity, like their natural curiosity, and you being the teacher, the leader who does it first. Okay, so now to share about the readings. So I do offer the astrocartography readings. I do them over Zoom, so that's one-on-one. I do birth chart readings, and I also do empowerment coaching. So that's to help people get off the ground if they've been thinking about doing something, thinking about moving, thinking
Mm,
about starting to date again, thinking about whatever you've been thinking about, you haven't been able to launch for whatever reason. My empowerment coaching is to like get you launched, and like it's like a
mm,
rocket. Like let's go, let's do it, let's move, let's get into
mm,
action here. And my job is to transmit the energy to help like fuel you and get you like
mm,
flying, and just go and do it. And then people can come back, or they can do that one session and start flying, and then when they
mm,
feel that need for inspiration, they can come back and receive more.
mm.
So that's how my sessions work.
Wow. I am just, I could go on. This was so yummy. What a gift your vessel is, your ability to channel intuit energy was really, really beautiful. This is way more than I was expecting. And I'm just so grateful for your open heart, your open energy, your trust in this process, and me with your time and your energy, and just really getting to dive into this together. This was really special. And I'm excited to see where this can take us. I can't wait to share this episode. And let's see, we can find you on Instagram and
Yes.
your
Instagram.
website.
Yep. Instagram, Julie Getzinger Coaching. And my website is juliegetzinger.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. Julie, thank you so much for being here. I feel like I'm going to have you back at some point as well. So.